Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. This is Kenya the Revolutionary. I just want to briefly um, conclude this issue that has been making rounds, this news about Jirongo's so called accident. As you can see, the topic is Jirongo's road accident, in quotes, is a warning. So pay attention. Now, before I get started, let's get through the formalities. If this is your first time here on this channel, I talk about Kenyan politics and world politics as it relates to Kenya. So if you like that kind of content, this is a place for you. You can join in the chats, but if you're new, make sure you subscribe, share, like this video, and put the notification bell on so every time I come in, you can always be notified that I'm on so you can participate on the chat. And sometimes I'll always throw the link so you can join me on the studio and give me your 2 cents and we can debate, talk, discuss in an amicable way. Okay. But here today, I want to be very brief with this. For those of you who have already subscribed, you know the first order of business is do what? Subscribe to the channel. Okay. Not subscribe, but like the video. All right. Let's get to this. Um, I was thinking about a documentary which I excuse me, that I watched some times back, and some news piece that I read um, about a journalist who was stationed in Indianapolis who um, uncovered. He was an investigative journalist who uncovered that the CIA was involved in the drug trade, and actually he's the one who exposed the whole Iran Contra. For those of you who know anything about the Reagan administration, that that controversial scandal almost brought down the Reagan regime with Oliver North and blah blah blah. If you're familiar with American politics, you should know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so what what was actually very unusual about this case? Once this guy wrote that piece on, I think it was Indianapolis Star, whatever the case is, the local rag of the Indianapolis. This story caught fire. It went viral, so to speak, back then. And, it caused a lot of brouhaha, to a point where, some of the Reagan administration folks were brought into the Senate for questioning. Okay. There was an inquiry to see what's going on. And some even ended up going to jail. All right. Now, what happened to that journalist once he uncovered this whole thing that the Reagan administration and the CIA actually were involved with, the drug trafficking, Noriega, and all this stuff? What ended up happening is that this investigative journalist, he ended up dying, found dead in his apartment with a gunshot wound on his back, sorry, on his at the back of his head, and it was two gunshot wounds, okay? And there was a pistol right beside him. So that is what was reported. Now, of course, after that report came out, the people are questioning themselves as to how can somebody who is committing suicide by shooting himself on the head, how can he blow his head off twice? Like, if you're trying to kill yourself and shoot yourself in the head, there's no way you can have two shots at the back of your head. It has to be from somebody else. Okay, somebody else has to have shot you from the back of your head. There's no way you can shoot yourself twice if you're planning on suicide, especially if you're trying to shoot yourself. Okay, I'm not promoting suicide. I'm just trying to make sense of what I'm of what was discovered. And now I want to make a bigger point as it relates to Kenya, so bear with me. So anyway, this journalist again was found dead with a gun by his side, but upon examining his head, he had two shots at the back of his head. And people were asking themselves, How is it that a journalist who seemed to have his life together, he was happily married, his name was now, he was becoming known, and, he had a job, he has a stable lifestyle. He didn't show any sign of distress or of him being depressed or anything like that. But the fact that the official report that the American population were being told the reason for death, the cause for death was suicide, was ruled suicide. But everyone was like, how can you commit suicide with 2 gunshot wounds on your head, at the back of your head? If you're going to kill yourself, you're probably going to only manage to shoot yourself once. There's no way it can be twice. Okay. Karibu sana, good day. I see you. You know the drill. Like the video. Thank you so much. Glad to see you. So now you might be asking, hey, what's up with that? How is that related with Jirongo's death? Now, the point is, ladies and gentlemen, and that was not the only person who actually ended up dead by exposing a huge scandal. There's also a lady I just read this morning, I forgot her name, but she was exposing a lot of stuff during the previous administration and stuff like that. And also, she died under very, very unusual circumstances. Now, the point I'm making is this. The public did not believe that journalist that exposed the Iran-Contra scandal, the CIA being involved, the CIA, the US government being involved in drug trafficking, drug trade with Noriega and others. The public believed that that man did not kill himself. And if you look at the case closely, it was never about believing the official story. It was never about inquiring of what really killed this investigative journalist. The message that the powers that be that were responsible for unaliving this investigative journalist was that if you meddle in our business, we shall take you out. That was basically thank you so much, Goodyear, for doing that. That was basically that was the messaging. If you still don't understand what I'm trying to say, is this. What the message was, the official story did not add up, right? But it was done so deliberately in order to send a message to anyone who might know too much, trying to expose the powers that be, that if you dare try to expose us or bring us down or whatever the case is, or become our enemy, we shall take you out, and there's nothing that anyone will do about it. You understand what I'm saying? So basically the message was the people responsible for killing that investigative journalist, they wanted to show that they were powerful enough to take out that journalist and give a bullshit official story that the people know it's bullshit, but there's nothing they can do about it. Right. Absolutely. So, coming to Cyrus Jirongo's case, that's why I say this is a warning from the Kenyan criminal political elites that I suspect, this is my perspective now, I suspect were behind Jirongo's death. Of course, Jirongo wasn't that angel, but that's besides the point. Okay? Yes. It's not even, here's the thing though, Gypsy is telling me something interesting here, saying covered up murder. And this is where I want to make my point. I'm glad you say, I'm glad you're mentioning that. They are not even trying to cover it up. They are not. That's the whole point. Let me explain to you something. Not Gypsy, but everyone else. I'm just talking in general. And this is a good point. Now, there are people who are the drivers of that bus company that got involved with the former Lugari MP who is now deceased, who lost his life in that accident. They're claiming that they don't even know that driver. They've never seen him. They can't confirm that he works for the company as a driver. That's number one. Now, number two, I want to take you through all the inconsistencies about this story. You already know, whether it's how Jirongo found himself in Naivasha, the impact on the bus, the damages on Jirongo's car, the official driver's story that doesn't match up with the guard at the total gas station. It's not total gas station. That gas station in Naivasha. The CCTV story by the DCI. All these inconsistencies, I believe, listen to me very carefully, I believe all these inconsistencies were meant to be unraveled, discovered, exposed. The political class who I believe were behind Jirongo's death wanted the Kenyan public to know that it is them that did it, as a message to make you feel hopeless, helpless. Oh, I don't know I'll try my best to actually try to explain to you what the message is here. Bro, I'm always somebody. Oh, there's too much, so much news. Boom Boom Kenyans know the truth, but they value their lives. Absolutely. It's a form of a scare tactic. Let me just explain it in another way. The criminal political class of Kenya, they want the Kenyan public to know that they did this, that they're behind Jirongo's murder. You understand? They want to create an impression or send a message that we did it, and yes, we are going to give you a bogus story, and we know that we did it, but there's nothing you can do about it. So anybody that wants to go against us shall end up like Jirongo, and we shall do the same thing, knowing that there's nothing, hakuna pale mtatupeleka. You understand what I'm saying? These inconsistent stories, whether it's by the DCI or the so-called driver, the absence of the 65 passengers who we were told were on the bus, the impact, the damage, the reports, these inconsistencies, the criminal political elites that were behind the death of Jirongo, they wanted these inconsistencies to be known. That way, Kenyans know that whoever was behind Jirongo's death is so powerful is in control of all the investigative units, all the police, all aspects of governmental institutions, to a point where justice shall not be done, because they do have the absolute power in Kenya. And they want the Kenyan public to know this. by deliberately spewing out bullshit stories to make it seem like a cover-up, so that Kenyans know that, okay, the official story is bullshit, and we know the government is covering this up, but the people behind the government who are in control, who have all the levers of power, are the one who are behind Jirongo's death, and we cannot do anything about it. So we shall shut up, ask a lot of questions, complain about the problem, about the unusual circumstances under which Jirongo died, but nothing shall happen. But it will serve as a warning to the Kenyan public that whoever dares try us, go against us, oppose us to a point where they try to bring us down as a system, we shall deal with that person in every way possible, including taking their lives. And there's no governmental institution, there's no legal recourse, there's no avenue of justice that you will be able to turn to help you bring the people who are behind this crime to justice, to account for their crime. You understand? So walifanya maksudi, to say it in Kiswahili now, hizi ma story mingi ati sijui dereva anatuambia ati sijui kulikuwa na traffic, mara sijui Jirongo alikuwa ametoka Ushago, mara sijui ati Jirongo alikuwa na overtake, mara sijui Jirongo this was part of the plan. It was designed to cast doubt on the official story, so that you don't believe what really transpired. And it is a way of sending a message to you, Mkenya wa kawaida, wakiwajulisha indirectly ati sisi ndio tumemaliza na hakuna kitu mnaweza mkafanya, na mkijaribu kutuchezea sisi wenye mamlaka utakuwa tu kama Jirongo. You'll end up like Jirongo. That's the message here. That is what I'm trying to say. Because there is no way, listen to me, listen to me. Listen to me very carefully. There is no way you can be as careless, incompetent as an investigator or as an arm of government that is supposed to be independent, carrying out the investigations of what actually happened. It didn't take a genius to figure out that it was unusual for Jirongo to be moving from Nairobi to Naivasha 3 a.m. The CCTV we haven't seen. So all this, like I said, is a warning. Now, I'm tying this up, not only just Jirongo, I'm tying this up with something else. I'm tying this up with what is an issue that is very prevalent right now in Kenya, which is abductions of political activists who are opposed to this regime. Anybody that is speaking up against this regime that seems to have some level of influence. Mnanisikia? You can see there is a pattern, increased, heightened activities. Yes. Of political prosecution, as I call it. Watu bloggers that oppose this regime, activists that are truly, wachana na activists kama kina Boniface Mwangi who are NIS agents. I'm talking about the real, political activists who are speaking against this government. They are ending up jailed, prosecuted, abducted, unalived. And Jirongo was the latest one. Now, again, like I say, don't get it twisted. Jirongo had some skeletons in his closet, but he was a threat to the political class. Go listen to his previous interviews. He even mentioned about, how Kenya was under Moi was letting foreign multinational corporations to dump toxic material in Kenya without following the regulations. That's just one, because that highlights the kind of perfidies that the Moi regime was committing. And it goes back to Moi, to Uhuru, to Kibaki, to Ruto. That's why I'm saying, even though Jirongo was part of that criminal elite, and that's how he made his money and fame, he got to a point where he wanted to expose the power behind the curtain. And that's why he had to go. And the way he went out, was obvious. The powerful criminal political elites of Kenya wanted the Kenyan population to know that they're behind Jirongo's death by deliberately having inconsistent alibi stories, trying to explain what transpired before Jirongo died. They were not trying to cover it up. That's why I said, that's why I liked Nani akisema ni cover up, and I'm trying to say my point is actually the other way round. You're right. We are looking at it as a cover up. But listen, these guys are not trying to convince you. They are trying to subconsciously reach out to your fears. Wanataka muiangalie as a cover up. That way you know that they're covering this murder, alleged murder. Ndio mjue there was a powerful entity behind this whole thing. So it is not that they want you to think it's a cover up. Yes, they want you to think that it's a cover up so that you know that it is somebody who is more powerful, a gang of powerful criminal political elites that were behind this. Because if they wanted to cover this up, it could have been very easy. Wangeenda wamnyake huko wamshike huko, sijui hata huko Nairobi hapo Oasis, wamwambie hebu kuja hapa na hiyo story ishe hivyo. Then his body would have been found in Ngong Forest. Alafu waseme Jirongo was having an affair with Wetangula's wife. And Wetangula's wife hired a watchman to go finish Jirongo. Something like that. You understand? Yani ile story. Lakini hii walikuwa na cover up so that you know that it's a cover up, so that you know that they are so powerful that they can do something to Jirongo and give you a bullshit answer and in your alibi that you know it's bullshit, but there's nothing much you can do so that you can feel powerless and helpless and hopeless in the quest of justice. That's the point I'm making. Oh, I feel it. Haya, wacha tusome hapa ma comments kidogo. I see Daniel andika hapa. Kenya is full of mafia and posh terrorists. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Engine. All right. If the CEO was drinking in Nairobi and drove himself to Naivasha or wherever, does it mean that for 4 hours the alcohol wasn't in the bloodstream till he met his death? BS and crap. By the way, I heard there's a Supreme Court justice who just passed away. I forgot his name. Ibrahim something. Yule Msomali. Sasa Ruto ataingiza hapo nani? Ataingiza nani hapo kwa hiyo Supreme Court sasa? Yule ni Sholei. Sholei sasa ndiye atachukua hiyo kiti sasa. Yeah, so but I want to summarize this with a bigger point, a larger point here that I want you to think about. Kenya, like majority of African nations, are fighting for their sovereignty. The struggle for Kenya is a fight of a sovereignty of the state of the country, Kenya. Yes, the judge died. Okay. That is the fight that we are fighting. So that is why I usually tell you guys, we spend a lot of time. In fact, before I even go on, I just heard somebody post say that Ruto has given French soldiers immunity. They can operate in Kenya wherever they want. Na hata wakifanya kitu illegal, they cannot be brought to justice in Kenya. I don't know how true that is. Somebody confirm it with me. If you know it, please put it in the chat. I don't know if that's true. But I want to make a larger point that explains why history, political parties, Kalonzo versus Uhuru, Kalonzo versus Ruto, Gachagua versus Ruto, all these political parties and political mambo mingi is just a bunch of nonsense. Let me just show you what we are fighting for, where the real fight is. Just take a simple Google what sovereignty is. Sovereignty is the ability for a country to govern itself. Okay? The people governing themselves as a state without external interference. Just Google that. The definition of sovereignty. And that's what we are fighting for in Kenya. I know the colonialists, the colonial mascot is Ruto because he's the head of state. Okay? But here's the thing. The reason why we should think holistically when we are approaching or we are attempting to solve our problem in Kenya. That's why I usually say, mambo ya kusema 1 term, 2 term, whether you put Kalonzo, whether you put Nani, you will never find any kind of, there'll be no difference. It's hopeless. You know, people get excited. Oh, Wiper Party, oh, ODM, oh, Oburu, oh, Broadbase, oh. It's inconsequential. Those people are just, these are a bunch of thieves that are fighting over who can be in a post where they can legally loot from Kenyans. Because this is a criminal state. So what I'm trying to say is this, okay? While we fight to remove Ruto, let's understand the power structure of Kenya, how this regime operates. Ruto, under this regime, has made it clear that he is willing to abduct, execute, do whatever to remain in power. Anybody who comes against him, he's willing to do whatever. Okay? He's willing to spend billions that he's receiving from his colonial masters to buy off support. Okay? Like I said, Ruto only cares about the biggest fight, the biggest hurdle that Ruto has is to create the perception that he has some level of support in majority of the counties in Kenya. The reality is he does not enjoy majority support of the Kenyan people, but he wants that perception. That way, after he rigs, he can use that perception to justify him winning in this so-called perceived voter-rich area for himself, which is basically his perception, but is not reality. That's why he is gung-ho on hunting down vloggers and putting up a serious fight in this war of information. So my bloggers, anyone who's posting videos, he will hack into your stuff using people, to do that. Atajaribu kunenio your influence. If you have a channel, he'll try to sabotage it. Kama when you uko huko Kenya, he'll track you down using Safaricom. Watakushika, you'll end up in Ngong Forest. Your body will found there. Ama atakufanya vile alifanya nani, is it Okoth or whatever the case is. Ama uta end up kama Jirongo or whatever the case is. He is really heavily invested in this. And I hate to say it, but I think he's going to succeed because he's using two things. Fear, and majority of us, let's face it, we are afraid. We don't want to lose our lives. And number two, he's using money. And let's face it, majority of us do not have it. So akikukujia, akakwambia hewe, shikilia hii milioni na anza hii propaganda ya pro two-term. I like, there's a young lady who explains something that I've always been explaining in this channel. It's on my X page, where she says that it is unfortunate that Kenya, we are so materialistic. We worship, we praise thieves that are stealing from us. Ruto, Murkomen, wakina Selassie. I mean, just think about it. Selassie navuta bangi on camera and he's getting taxpayers' money as a representative. Murkomen is bragging about having a belt ya sijui milioni ngapi, and he's doing so on our taxpayers' dime. But we have this culture that we're cultivating ati, angalia aura, akona aura, The guy is expensive. He's a celebrity. Na tunamshangilia. Mike Movie Song anatembea na rings of gold. Talking nonsense. We know where he gets his money. And we're treating these people with so much veneration. Stockholm Syndrome. Yes. So you see, and this is done deliberately to make it fashionable that education, fighting for justice, fighting for things that actually matter, the well-being, proper citizenry, caring for your neighbor is not fashionable. What they're pumping on your medulla is get rich, get some money, kuwa na do, be a celebrity, be somebody. Endesha gari kubwa kubwa na ukuwe na gari kubwa kubwa. Wear expensive things, Gucci belt, all that. Hiyo ndio wanakuuzia. And they're selling that to our youth. So every youth, wanasahau, it's taking their minds from, you know what? We, the youth, we should organize and see that tukomboe nchi yetu. Instead, tunaambiwa tukue mahasla. Start a business. Ukue millionaire. It doesn't matter whether that's business illegal or ukarabati. Yeah? That's the way to do it. As long as you're quite too rich. You're not quite living unless you become rich. Which takes away inakutoa kwa ile mindset that actually if we come together, we can actually change the regime of the day and demand the document that is sovereign, that gives us sovereignty, to provide equal for everyone, equal opportunity for everyone, so everyone can thrive. But instead, hawa watu wanapora mali, if infrastructure fund wanataka kuipora with your taxpayers money, SHA money is being forward, na wanawatukana wakiwaambia mtadu. And instead of responding to ask for accountability, we are clapping at them. We are applauding them. Hey, angalia, mheshimiwa. In fact, you're calling them mheshimiwa. Waheshimiwa. People who are stealing from you. You see what I'm saying? It is because they have cultivated that culture of materialism. Nothing matters. We tu anza biashara yako na ufanye ukarabati so you can. So with that, it's very easy for Ruto to approach an influencer, a young person who seems to be making inroads, demanding for justice, anaenda anampatia do, anamjengea nyumba hapo. Unaona kina Morara wamenyamaza. Kasmuel, very useless people. People who are talented, who could have actually played a pivotal role in the liberation of Kenya. Waone hapo wamesimama na suti zao hapo. Very useless people. Because they'd rather have quick riches than sacrifice for the betterment of the nation as a whole. So this Jirongo thing, to go back to my original point, is a warning to Kenyans. It is meant to instill fear among Kenyans. Fear that if you oppose the criminal political elites of Kenya, watakumaliza, na wakikumaliza hakuna pale utawapeleka. They can make up story ati sijui Jirongo alikuwa Naivasha anaendesha Mercedes akagongana na basi with 65 passengers. Na hata passenger moja hakuna mtu amesimama. You understand? They know the story is nonsense. They know that you know that the story is nonsense. But the aim of doing so, of giving you these inconsistent bullshit stories, is to give you a sense of helplessness, a sense of hopelessness, a sense that there's nothing you can do to actually bring change because things are the way they are and they're going to stay that way. Now accept it for what it is. So be compliant and agree when the government does something. Even if your sovereignty is being sold out, hakuna kitu mtaweza kufanya. Rono TV natuambia, it is written clearly on your alcohol drink, do not drink and drive, but some people fail to heed the warning. Alcohol impairs judgment. The late Jirongo might have missed his way back. Okay, if you believe that, I have a bridge to sell you. Continue smearing Ruto's name. I'm not smearing Ruto's name. Ruto is smearing his own name. He's selling the country. In fact, I had some MC or somewhere, you know what they were saying? They say Ruto should continue selling the country so we can build infrastructure. I'm telling you, Kenya is not a real place. Haya, mtu anakunywa pombe na umalaya, then akifika kwa raha zake una blame Ruto. No one said we are blaming Ruto for Jirongo's death, but we are doing the calculation. The official story haingiani. We know who Jirongo had a problem with, so you figure it out, Mr. Rono or Mr. Rono. Yeah? How has Ruto killed Jirongo? You tell me, how did he kill him? I don't know. No one came out and said, where the Rono TV. No one came out and said Ruto ameua Jirongo. What we are saying is the official story haishikani. It does haingiani. You understand? And I'm saying this, the official story iko na inconsistencies, and they're doing that deliberately to pass a message to Kenyans that we are able to take out Jirongo for whatever reason. Okay? And there's nothing Kenyans can do about it. Now, majority of people are suspecting Ruto because we understand that Jirongo mentioned that he was about to release a book that will shed light on Ruto's, and not only Ruto, the past regime, people in the past regime, the criminal elite, being involved in some things that might even have the public outraged. Okay? So that's why people are saying, based on what Jirongo mwenyewe alisema about Ruto and other folks that were from the previous administration, that might have led or played a part for his reason ya kupotea, ya kufa. Okay? That's what we are saying. That's why people here. Arono anasema, I have witnessed Jirongo hook Westland very many times, driving. At one point, they rammed our parking lot at Western Square Mall, almost killing shoppers. This I witnessed. You're right. Listen, I am not disputing whether you've seen Jirongo drunk or if Jirongo has been involved in some accident while he was drinking. Sure. Maybe he was drunk and got into an accident. The only thing we are saying is that the official story that we're being told does not add up. And we know what that means in Kenya. And there's a lot of political assassinations that have happened by the way of road accidents. So while you are right, you might have seen you might have seen Jirongo leaving Westland kama melewa akagongana kwa parking lot ama akaanza kupigana na watu. That's well and good. I'm not saying well and good that he was drinking and fighting or got involved in the accident. I'm just saying that, that might have been true, that he's an alcoholic who, was involved in some accidents at some point. But that does not negate from the fact that the inconsistent stories that we are being told, official stories that we are being told by the governmental body that is responsible for conducting this investigation, suggest that there's something more sinister that was at play in Jirongo's death. Sawa Jirono. So understand, there's a difference here. Okay? Jirongo knew too much. He had to go. It's simple as that. Absolutely. I'm with you there. I also think Jirongo knew too much. So they had to get rid of him. Kim anasema ati pombe na umalaya, these guys are hilarious. See, that's the same thing they were saying about Msando. Msando, of course, he was caught up in a web of, love triangle or whatever the case is. We know it was baloney, but hey, you're free to believe whatever you want to believe. At one point, he slept at a petrol station hapo Peponi Road hadi morning kwa sababu ya ulevi. Well, apparently he wasn't sleepy at that gas station that he was in Naivasha. He turned back to where he came from. In fact, there's a report that there was a car that was following him that was caught on CCTV. But this news is inakuwa leaked moja kwa moja. It's okay. News ni vizuri kila mtu ako na maoni yake ama namna gani. So it's okay if you want to believe maybe Jirongo was actually drunk and got into the only problem is this, hata kama alikuwa amelewa, kwani ile pombe ya Nairobi haikutosha mpaka alienda Naivasha ndio apate ile pombe kali. I mean, what was his business in Naivasha? Good, anasema 527. Kenya is not a real place. Jirongo was a party animal and a night walker. Hata kama any party animal. So what does that prove? I mean, it doesn't prove that it does not mean he was not. There's a possibility that he was unalive. Just because you're a party animal and you did na unakunywa pombe, does that mean kwani inamaanisha wewe huwezi uliwa? Hata sijui nikwambie nini. But you're very interesting, Rono. Ruto's dandas will stop at nothing. Yeah, watu mpaka support mtu wako bwana. What I'm saying is this, Nani, if you look at this objectively, even if you factor in your mambo ya ulevi na mambo mengine, the fact that the official story is not adding up, that's a reason to believe that something weird happened. Okay? Give a theory on how he was assassinated. I don't give theories. I give my opinion. Okay? Theory is something not proven. Opinion is something that I think. Okay? There's a difference. So I'm not going to give you a theory here. But go watch my past videos if you want to get my opinion on that. But my opinion as of today is this. The powers that be. Sour good here. I won't be distracted. Just to wrap up so we can be on the same page, or we don't have to be on the same page. Tuko page 247. Rono ako page 3, which is okay. You'll catch up. Anyway, but I appreciate engaging with you, Rono TV. It's good to have different views. Believe what you believe. You have all the right to believe what you believe. So I can't ridicule you. It is what it is. But anyway, what I'm saying is this. What do you say? We must support Ruto. We must support Ruto was facts. Ni wetu na hatuwezi kubali awekelewe kifo ya uongo. Sawa? Sisi hatujamwekelea, sisi tunasema tu. But anyway, like I said, just to wrap it up, because I think it's been 15 minutes. All I'm going to say again is this: the fact that there was a lot of inconsistencies in the official story that we were told, okay, suggests that something more cynical, something more sinister, something more evil, foul play probably was part of what happened to Jirongo. Okay? And I personally believe the powers that be did this deliberately. I'm not talking about just the actual unaliving of Jirongo, but the stories, the inconsistent stories, official stories that were being told, they did so that the people, the public, yes, the public will know that they did it by the fact that the story haishikaniki. But the point is, they want you to know indirectly that they did this so that you can have fear that if there was anyone that's thinking about exposing the powers that be, the criminal political elites of Kenya, who dares come against them or oppose them, they shall be dealt with just like Jirongo and others before him. Okay? That is the message. Okay? They want you to know that they did it, and they are covering it up by not actually covering it up, because they want you to know that this is a bullshit official story so that you can think and know that they are behind it. So it's a warning to Kenyans of all, okay? So anyway, thank you so much. The Rono TV, thank you for being here with your different view. Gudia kama kawaida, Dom kama kawaida, Kim, Jadi, and everybody else that was part of this. I have to leave it here. I'm not going anywhere near route. I'm not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere near Ruto. Eh? Gypsy amesema is not going anywhere near Ruto. Hey. Rona anauliza again, what's the motive? Jirongo was already a politically relevant figure by 2017. He already said nasty things about Ruto in 2022, but it did not work. I guess. Good point. I wish I could have engaged. I would engage you, but unfortunately, I've been here for 52 minutes, so I have to leave it here. But good point. There's several reasons for that, but we're not going to explore that. So what I'll ask you to do, Rono, subscribe, like, share, comment, and put a notification on. So tomorrow when I come in, please ask me the same question, and we shall continue with this discussion. Okay? Amana Mnagani. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I have to leave it there. Like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the good stuff, and I'll see you next time. Sawa Rono. Thank you so much. Subscribe now, like. Follow the money, you'll find the motive. All right. Sawa basi. All right. I'll see you guys later. I'm out. Peace.